What's good, ladies and gents? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and today we're going to take a good look at Savage Deviljho. Now I know you guys were thinking, yo, Dak, you said you was gonna have a video out for us every week, or every day of the week. Well, what I probably should have clarified was weekdays. I figured that on the weekend I would give myself a little time to record footage and just kind of enjoy my 2 days off, you know, that kind of thing, stream and the like. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I know people have said this billions of times before. I've probably said this billions of times before, but for as much content as I can give you within the 5-day span, if I actually have ideas and things like that, I'll try to give you content every day within the 5-day span. I have 4 videos lined up for you guys coming out. It'll be this one, the Savage Deviljho, Zenogre, that big Urigan video, that big Jan Gruga video I was talking about, and Ruiner Nerg. That Friday video, I don't know what it's gonna be, because I actually think that's all the monsters currently. If I'm missing a monster, let me know. Feel free to go back to the back catalog of the Monster Hunter World Iceborne monster list and let me know if I actually missed a monster here or there. If I did, let me know, and we'll cover that monster shortly. I will remind you guys about this later because I'll probably forget myself. Nevertheless, so Savage Deviljho. So Savage Deviljho, he is like Savage. He's like, of course he's not like Savage. Well, actually, of course he's like Savage. He is Savage, but he's kind of like Deviljho, just turned up to 11. He's a bit stronger than your Garden Variety Joe. I feel like I've said that somewhere before. I don't know. Anyway, stronger than your regular Joe. He has different parameters, just different things about Deviljho, Savage Deviljho that actually stands him out from standard. Apart from his obvious look, he just looks wildly different. He has the what do you call it? Like the dragon shroud, I like to call it, or mantle, if you will, about him. More so than like not, because he didn't have it as standard Joe. He had, as regular Joe, he just had the little dragon around his mouth. Whenever he got mad, he could do the little dragon breath attack, which he could only do when he was enraged. This is Deviljho. Savage Deviljho can do it whenever he wants to. He's just pumped full with dragon energy. So everything that you guys remember about Deviljho makes a return. Like every single thing about Deviljho makes a return. A couple of things are slightly changed, again, like the dragon breath thing that I spoke on a little bit before. But there's also a couple of new things that Savage Deviljho himself actually also has. So his breath attack, he no longer just does the breath attack from side to side. He can actually sit down in almost like an entrenched state, if you will, and shoot a large dragon breath beam forward, like in one direction. And it's actually pretty good. Like the first time I saw it, actually threw me for a loop because, well, truth be told, I actually carded to it. I was like, the hell is he doing? And then like he hit me with it, and I guess my reaction time wasn't good enough, so I got hit by the dragon breath. So it's one thing to note that he can do it in one direction. If you're fighting him for the first time, or for the first couple of times, and you don't exactly know what this animation looks like per se, and let's say you're not directly in front of him, you're off to the side of him, or you're, you know, encroaching around his body, you may get hit by it because you're unused to what it is, and it doesn't quite look like an attack from the outset, which I should know. It doesn't really look like an attack from the outset, which is why I myself got hit. So you have to kind of watch out for that one. Speaking of his dragon breath, he has what's now I'm referring to as a dragon cloud attack, wherein which he can aim at the ground and unleash a bevy of dragon element and just cloud the entire area with this dragon cloud, if you will. The thing with this is it actually isn't a direct attack. You can't counter it, you can't block it, nothing like that. It's kind of like residual. It's almost like fighting Black Veil Hazaken, just kind of standing in the effluvia thing on the floor that would touch you, kind of like the floor is lava kind of thing. Here's the nut buttery thing about him, though. When he does this, he will and always will follow up. So a lot of people like myself, people who use shields and things like that, you will find yourself in a situation where like, oh damn, he did the thing, I have to get out. And as you go to put your shield out, or put your shield up and everything, try to run away, he's coming with some slap. Okay, the thing is, you can't really see him too well when he does this because the cloud is up. You can't really see all that well. Believe it or not, the cloud covers a lot of area to where you can only kind of see the top of his back. And for the most part, you're really unable to see what he's going to do. You just see that he was in the middle of it, and then he just kind of straight to the back end of it. So you kind of think he's warming up for an attack. Well, revving up an attack, or he's maybe leaving that particular area, going to a different location, targeting someone else, but he's more often not going to attack immediately right afterwards. The number of attacks that he does to in there inside the cloud, I have numbered to 3, but all 3 are very difficult to see. So just know that when he does that, you want to kind of get away as best as possible. If you're a lance user, don't put your lance up. Be nice, okay? Use your forward advance, your shield thrust, or your lancing thrust, your advancing thrust, I should say, and every other movement ability you have that allows you to keep your weapon drawn. So that way, when you do see him come with the Mac Daddy Smackaroonie, you can block that joint still, which is something that is actually kind of hard to do. I'm actually pretty nice at it. Look at me being modest, but it's something that everyone that is a lancer should actually come to grips with learning. Gun lance, you have your running thrust. Try to do that a couple of times to get out the way. Sword and shield, you ain't have to put your sword up. Everyone else, run for the hills. But it's an attack I really feel like I should actually tell you guys about, because it's actually quite devastating. It's one of his more stronger, more lethal attacks, simply because you don't know what he's gonna do. Now, the last attack I want to talk about, which I feel like should round him off, is his new pinning attack. You remember how the pinning attacks in World did absolutely nothing? Well, they did absolutely nothing. Like, the monster would just, I got you, and then he'll throw you, and then he'll look at you, and then, like, do nothing. Well, Savage Deviljho can do one of 2 things. I don't even know. It's like a flip of a coin, honestly. He will, especially when he's enraged, more often than not, he's coming for them cheeks. So whenever he's not enraged, he'll pin you, throw you down, and then he'll come and actually bite you. The thing is, the time in which to evade the bite when he's not enraged is very, very slim. It can be possible. Well, it can be done. It is possible. You can evade out of it. You can block it on wake up, but it's going to be, the window is kind of small. You can still get it. If not, it's incredibly hard. Just know that, okay, he's not enraged. Let me yam on this R2 button or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever you're using to block. But whenever he is enraged, you will not have enough time, because the animation he does before he goes to like attack you after the pin is sped up. So there is actually no way for you to block it or get away from it if he's enraged and he has pinned you. Now, the one thing to counter this is your teammates, okay? Your teammates have to distract him. Hit him with a slinger bomb or something like that to distract him, disrupt him, whatever. If you guys remember fighting Rajang, it's very similar to that, where your teammates have to kind of help you out in this particular regard, so that way you don't get smacked very, very hard. Sometimes he'll go to attack you and then miss. Like miss. Like literally just miss. Like either not even come close at all or kind of come close, but he'll miss. More often than not, whenever he's not enraged, he will do this, but don't rely on it. It can happen, but don't rely on it. Relying on it will see you dead. So, yeah, that's, I think that's everything I got for you guys on Savage Deviljho for the most part. Obviously, there's always like a part 2, but let's talk about the gear, because, it's actually okay. I'm gonna say this right now. Savage Deviljho, his weapons. No, I'll say it for the actual part. We'll get to that. So, onto the gear. Okay, so with Savage Deviljho, the armor looks pretty good. It's kind of reminiscent to how it looked in the past couple of games, if you will. So you guys should remember how it looks thusly, at least the alpha variant. The beta looks different. It looks interesting, at least for the females anyway. It looks definitely, actually for the males it looks kind of the same too. Nevertheless, it looks interesting. It's Savage Joe stuff, okay? It's definitely Savage Joe stuff and looks interesting. Nevertheless, it's actually pretty decent. Believe it or not, if you are a hammer user, it should be your go-to off the jump. Now, my man Gobi, he's a hammer user from time to time, mostly sword and sword, but he be dabbling the hammer. He actually picked up Savage Deviljho very early on. So, like, let's say for whatever reason, you're just kind of getting through master rank. You're maybe not all the way maxed out, but you run across the Deviljho for your first time. I recommend fighting and killing it. It'll be tough to do so. Maybe get a couple investigations, get some friends together and do it. But if you're a hammer user, getting this armor set early on is going to be a boon. Because you do find Deviljho very early. That's the thing. He's a nomadic kind of monster. He'll appear any and everywhere for no reason. That's his thing. So the sooner you can get this as a hammer user, the better, because you're going to really take use of that Stamina Thief 5. Okay, that is Stamina Thief Secret, which adds 2 more levels to it. I think you're up to about 60% exhaust power. So that's incredible for impact weapons, all right? So just remember, you're going to be very happy if you're that type of person. Other than that, you have Handicraft 5, Speed Eating 3, and Part Breaker 2. This has hammer written all over it. So if you're a hammer user, this armor set is geared 100% directly towards you. I apologize if you're not an impact weapon user, but this armor set is not geared towards you whatsoever. And that's essentially all I can really say on the matter. Actually, I think the beta, if we look at it just right, it doesn't have handicraft at all. So why would you run it? Don't know. Maybe you want to mix in a couple of different things so that way you're not forced to only run a particular set, i.e. a hammer or a hunting horn set possibly, and you can probably use a couple of different things in there. That's cool. I recommend that. That's actually a really good idea. But nevertheless, the armor's okay. Great for hammer users. Now the weapons. His weapons, if you remember back in Vanilla World, they were some of the best weapons in the game. In this case, that's not 100% the case. They have some of the highest attack, but tied with them with attack is Shara. And the difference between Joe and Shara, almost like 100% literally, is the affinity. Joe has negative 30 affinity on essentially all his weapons, whereas Shara does not. Joe does come with element, excuse me, innately, and Shara, you need to actually awaken it, so you have to weigh the pros and cons. Negative 30 affinity that you may or may not want to fix, or gem in free element. That's your choice when it comes to dragon weapons between the two. So however you feel about free element or whatever is essentially what it's going to boil down to when you fight Deviljho and what gear you're going to want to actually procure after you beat said monster. All in all, not bad. So with that all said, the Savage Deviljho gear is kind of saucy. The fight itself is pretty unique. It's very different. If you guys remembered Deviljho fight, the Savage Deviljho fight is actually quite different. Oh, I forgot. He has one other attack, but then again, I'll get to that in a hot second. So, as of late, the new fancy thing is monsters are getting like Nova attacks, like supernovas, explosions, Omega, big something big, an attack that's hefty, has some weight to it, some power behind it, in the back, laying in the cut, if you will. And Savage Deviljho was no different. So if you guys remember monsters like I did talk about it for Silver Athlos, where he has like this new Nova attack. Savage Deviljho himself has his own Nova attack. It's actually quite good. He doesn't do it all that often. So if you see it come out, it's almost akin to how I said he used to take like a what the hell did I say? Because I was really thinking hard to what that word was. Like he kind of like sits back and like really charges this thing up, almost as if he's doing his breath that goes in a straight line, but it's not that at all. It's actually, again, it's this new Nova attack. But essentially what it is, he'll lay down a whole line of dragon element, and then it'll be compressed into one area, and then it'll explode. Now the attack itself is pretty damaging. Don't get me wrong, it is quite damaging. You may or may not die to it. It may do more damage depending on how closer you are to the impact side itself, but it's something to be to note as well, because I kind of feel like it's a big deal. I kind of feel it should be noted that he has a Nova attack, and me not taking that into account is actually pretty bad on my part as someone who's trying to tell you guys what it is and what it ain't. But nevertheless, so the Nova is pretty significant. It's actually really cool. It's one of the cooler Novas. But that's the thing. Outside of that, I think that's essentially all we need to really talk about for Savage Deviljho. There's the Nova, kaboom, I didn't die. But elemental resistances, thunder and dragon. Those are the two things you need to watch out for. Actually use when going to fight him. If you procure a thunder weapon or a dragon weapon, depending on what state he's in, whether he's full on enraged or he's not, the elements will differ. Honestly, just go with either thunder or dragon. I don't really think it matters all that much. I mean, it does, but whether him being pissed off or him not being pissed off, I kind of prefer to run the element where he's pissed off, because monsters are going to be perpetually pissed off. A monster like Savage Joe is going to be perpetually pissed off. So just do that. I believe when he's pissed off, that would be dragon. Or is it thunder? I don't know. I should know this. I'm the one telling you guys how to fight the thing. I'm pretty sure it's dragon, though. I'm almost positive it's dragon, actually. I don't know. Someone in the comment section will correct me on that. So that's that. Anyway, guys, this has been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This has been Savage Deviljho. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and found it relatively informative. And if you didn't find it informative, let me know in the comment section as to why. What can I do to make it much more informative? And do you like Savage Deviljho? Is he a monster that you put in high regard? Is he one of your favorite monsters of all time? Is he, in your opinion, the strongest brute wyvern to exist? Do you think he's stronger than Raging Brachytos? I don't think so. I think Raging Brachytos has his number. But anyway, that's the thing that I kind of want to leave in the comment section. Let's get some of that going in the down below. And with that being said, it's been your boy. Take care.